why are you troubled? In Luke's gospel, Jesus asks his disciples this very question. And I think in life, that kind of question really resonates with all of us. Trouble always seems to find its way into our lives. You can't really run away from it. It always is there. To varying degrees, trouble is part of our human existence. We experience all kinds of trouble. Unexpected bills and expenses, either at work or in our personal finances, things we hadn't counted on in the monthly budget. Sometimes we receive a poor grade, and we had studied a lot for it, well, maybe, and when we got our grade back, it wasn't as good as we had hoped, and so there may be some trouble, all depending. Relationships are a fertile soil for trouble. They can present us with some real challenges. Of course, health care, the way our bodies, sometimes deal with illness, can also give us a fair amount of difficulty and challenge. Trouble always seems to be with us, no matter where we go. But it's important for us to remember what Jesus says in the Gospel of John. Let not your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe in me also. You see, Jesus is trying to tell his disciples and you and me that even though our lives may be filled with different challenges, we have an advocate for us. We have a person who is there with us, who walks with us, and who helps us to carry our burdens. That is the great message of the gospel. But we also must remember this, that even though God does not promise us lives free of challenge, he doesn't allow the doubts and challenges that we have and he faces lead to despair. Jesus calls upon us to know that he is with us, so that when other people face challenges in their own lives, that they too might have a friend or a person whom they can go to help carry their burdens. Jesus caused a great deal of trouble in his life. And, of course, it made him not very popular with the society of the day, with the politicians, the religious leaders, the community leaders. He was in a fair amount of trouble with them. But, of course, Jesus' trouble and the trouble that he caused is what the great civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis would have called good trouble. Jesus encourages you and me and all people that when faced with injustice in our world, in our society, that we get into the good trouble, troubling ourselves maybe to reach out to those who are in need, so that they might find justice and peace in their lives. Now, in our gospel, the disciples are troubled. All that they had hoped for, all that they had dreamed, was nailed to the cross. And it must have seemed to them that trouble would be with them forever. And what does Jesus do in this time of difficulty for his disciples? He ministers to them. He shows them his hands and his feet and his side. Why? Why would Jesus do that? Did he need them to see his injuries to help them to believe in the resurrection? Probably. But But I believe there is a deeper, more powerful message here, a message for you and for me today. Jesus is not only showing them his injuries and that they have healed, but that they are called to go out into an injured and broken world to try to heal the brokenness of those in their community. And of course, Jesus asks his disciples for food. And of course, the question comes to my mind again, why? Did he need to prove to them that he had a body just like ours, and that it could feel hunger and it was made of flesh and bone? Yes, he did. But in doing so, Jesus invites his disciples to minister to him by bringing him a piece of baked fish. And there's this beautiful relationship that develops between them on that very day. Jesus ministers to them, and they minister to Jesus. And they constantly are working for each other's good in a beautiful relationship. Jesus instructs them to go out, to feed the hungry, to forgive sins, to bear witness with their lives to the truth of the resurrection, to bring hope to all those they meet. And of course, the disciples are doing just that, aren't they? As we heard in our first reading from the Acts of the Apostles. And of course, they have in their hearts the true knowledge that as God ministers to them, they minister to him through service and acts of love to those around them. Our gospel today is much more powerful than a story of just the resurrection, though that's a pretty powerful story, even in and of itself. But I also see this passage as a call to action, a call to discipleship. Jesus, who caused a lot of trouble in his life, caused good trouble by reaching out to those whom society had maligned or in some way had forced to the periphery of society. And it got him in a lot of trouble. And I dare say, even in our modern world, as we reach out to those who are in need, we too might find ourselves at odds with the larger community. But that's okay, because sometimes that's the kind of good trouble our world needs. And we have this beautiful example from him, that as we face our own challenges and difficulties and troubles of our own lives, that Jesus ministers to us, and in turn, we minister to him when we reach out in love and in caring to those in this world who are in need.